huge thank you. We're so excited to see so many of you have turned out for this event.
This is a result of 30 years of wanting to do something like this in England.
I think that what's happened in Gaza has meant that something which might have started just as a small group has completely packed the hall.
Well, I found out about the meeting and I feel passionate about Palestine and everything that's going on, and I just want to do anything I can to raise awareness and support them.
I lived in Palestine 30 years ago, and on my return I felt it was my duty to make everyone aware of the truth of what's going on over there, and not what the media in the West keep telling us is the truth.
The media has reached a point where it now controls what you hear, what you don't hear, and how you hear information.
The media in this country are totally pro-Palestine and Hamas, and nobody is speaking out about the other side of the coin.
The war in the Middle East is not something new. The Holy Land has been fought over for thousands of years.
The Palestinians were expelled from their land in 1947-48.
Then in 1948, of course, when we handed over, every surrounding Arab nation tried to destroy tiny little Israel.
This conflict has been going on for many years. It's just escalated further now, but there have been people being killed since 1967.
Then in 1967, you had the situation where Nasser in Egypt wanted to destroy Israel.
And that Palestinians living in the West Bank are living under Israeli military occupation. That's been going on all the time.
But then you had the situation where they begged Jordan not to take part in the conflict, but Jordan did. So that was when they took part of the West Bank of the Jordan.
There was the incident where 3 settlers, teenagers, were kidnapped and murdered. That, combined with effectively the rampage which the Israeli army went on in the West Bank and killed Palestinians, led to this upsurge.
Israel is breaking all international norms and laws at present. It's done that previously by occupying Palestinian territory and annexing it.
Now, if you go to Israel, they have about 1,000 rockets a week raining down on them. If that was happening here, if Birmingham was firing 1,000 rockets on Slough, what would we be doing? We'd be defending ourselves.
Are people saying that Palestinians are innocent of, or Hamas is innocent of some of the things that people say? No, we're not. But you just have to look at the stats, don't you?
Hamas quite deliberately place their armoury, rocketry, war machines behind the population, and they hide behind the people.
They were sent the coordinates for the UN schools 17 times, but they still bombed it.
They are not targeting schools. They are trying to wipe out the terrorists behind, who are aiming rockets and everything else over into Israel.
These 1,700 people who have been killed, people have lost their brothers, sisters, mothers, their sort of loved ones, and the ones who are left over, what is left for them in, for their life? So their own view is going to be, let's sort of, go and, take a revenge.
Can the Arab League not have a more positive role in trying to resolve this conflict?
I think the Muslim nations need to get involved more. It's more of the non-Islamic countries that are trying to get talks together and that.
They've never taken a principled issue on anything, actually, those countries. That is much more about preserving their own power and their own base. It's a disgrace.
A lot of wealthy Muslim countries that need to stand up. They can do this. They just need to be strong. I don't know what they're so scared about. I'd rather die for Palestine than just sit back and do nothing.
What more can our government do to put pressure on Israel and Hamas to draw an end to this?
We've said to Israel for years, you've got to stop annexing land, you've got to stop pretending that East Jerusalem is yours, you've got to respect the 67 borders, and they have ignored us. And it's not good enough to talk now, we have to act.
Hamas aren't normal, right-minded people. You're not dealing with logical people. You can't deal with terrorists. We always said that.
So as European citizens, we should work with our local MPs, our local, European Parliament, member of European Parliaments, try and lobby and put as much pressure as possible.
I think we should say to the Israeli ambassador, go away, we don't want you here.
What do you think the best solution is to end what's going on in the Middle East?
We need to make sure that the Palestinian people have a land to live in. They have a right to exist.
Is to accept the right of Israel to exist.
And personally, my view is that we should still be looking for a two-state solution.
Said there should be a two-state and Israel should have its own.
Israel is now, I think, confident in the belief that they don't need to have a two-state solution.
All they have to do is say, yes, Israel, we want to live in peace with you, right to exist, and instantly there would be support.
And if Palestine becomes independent states, and then we can sort of assign them a responsibility of making sure that there's no terrorism exported from Palestine to Israel.
How does a conflict so far away impact local people here?
The residents of Slough for many, many years have been very diverse from all across the world, and therefore it is even more important that they are open to the wider world and do see what's going on.
Why was it so difficult to get
I know what you're going to say. To get anybody Jewish to come and speak to you. I tried to get 5 of my separate friends to come along, and basically they were scared to.
I wouldn't say it's the Jewish people. Some people blame them, but I think it's the Zionists. They've got a different thought.
They've been targeting Jewish cemeteries again, synagogues, businesses. This is like the rise of the Nazis again.
I think we need to distinguish two things. One, Israeli Zionist state, and the other one, Jewish community.
But the issue is not about Muslims and Jews. The issue is about human beings and human rights.
You shouldn't bring politics into faith, but you should bring faith into politics. And by that I mean I'm a Christian, and I try never to bring my politics into my faith, but I do try to influence how I behave politically with my faith. And if people did that and used their faith for good, it would be a much nicer world to live in.